Cinema and literature always had a close relationship. Literature provides captivating and original subjects for cinema, which, in turn, gives fame to works that otherwise wouldn't have the same popularity. The first film adaptation premiered in 1902, and it was Méliès' film Le Voyage dans la Lune, based on Jules Verne's novel De la Terre à la Lune. In the same period, French cinematographic critic André Bazin defined the relationship between cinema and literature as impure cinema. Ever since the first film adaptation, cinema drew more and more from literature, and the advent of new technologies promoted this collaboration. The thesis aims to analyze the film adaptation of the novel The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared, using the theory of film adaptation to determine whether or not is it possible to make a film that is as faithful as possible to the original book. The first and the second chapter are about the books and the film's plot and characteristics, respectively. In the third chapter, film adaptation theories underlying the final considerations will be set out, highlighting similarities and differences between the two works. Cinema and literature use different means of communication, but there are many more aspects that differentiate the book from the film. Despite wanting to remain faithful to the novel, it's inevitable that the film will differ from the book's structure, that should be considered as a resource to draw from rather than a rigid script to follow. Despite determining that the source work and the film can't be identical, there are several strategies employed to maintain plot's consistency and be faithful to the novel. However, a book often needs to be adapted in order to make it to the big screen due to the passage from one medium to another. Thus, sacrificing scenes, subplots, becomes essential to avoid making a film that's overly long. Due to the many events described in the novel taken under analysis, the director necessarily had to be visible, modifying plot elements like characters, settings, events, basing the film on the key events, thus simplifying the original story. This eventually leads to plot holes, because the plot is a series of chained events, like a falling row of dominoes, in which moving one can affect the whole effect. The aspect that differentiates the film and the book the most is the protagonist itself. While in the novel he is a smart centenarian full of life and wit, he is confused and at the mercy of events in the film, and seems more like a common thread to link all the events, rather than an active protagonist. The plot's rhythm is different too. While the book is thrilling thanks to plot twists, the film is much slower due to the numerous subtitle scenes that break the storytelling rhythm. The differences between the novel and the film also influenced the respective success. Despite the novel being an international bestseller, the film didn't obtain the same success and had little relevance internationally. As humor is culturally defined, it can be a limit to the international success of the film. It's unusual that an Italian audience finds a Swedish film as funny as a Swedish audience could. It surely was a challenge to adapt such a verbose, complex book, full of plot twists and interconnected subplots, but this is the book's strength, and it's strictly connected to its humor and irony. Despite the right choices made by the director, the final result differs from the novel, becoming the shadow of the source work. Despite the connection between the two is obvious, the film doesn't portray the spirit nor the liveliness of the book.